So today I'm going to talk about the program and the intervention called TEACCH. The TEACCH approach is the treatment and education of autistic and related communication handicapped children. So that's what TEACCH stands for. TEACCH was founded in the early 1970s by Eric Schopler at the University of North Carolina. It was a developed intervention that has also been called structured teaching. It uses a use of visual supports to promote meaning and independence. It's well organized with highly structured environments, and it has flexible and individualized support. The main principles of structured teaching include understanding the culture of autism, individualized supports, that means each child is treated differently with the program, structuring the physical environment both at home and at school, visual support to make daily activities predictable and understandable, and visual support to make individual tasks understandable for each and every child. What does TEACCH look like? TEACCH programs are usually applied in a classroom setting. TEACCH-based home programs are also available. Parents work with professionals as co-therapists for their children so that they can continue to use TEACCH techniques at home. Structured teaching uses organization and supports in the classroom environment to help students learn best. This includes physical organization, individualized schedules, work or activity systems, visual structure of materials and tasks and activities. There are 5 basic principles of TEACCH, and these principles are physical structure that refers to the individual's immediate surroundings. Having a consistent schedule is possible through various mediums such as drawings and photographs. The work system has certain expectations and activity measurements that promote independence for the child. A routine is essential because the most important functional support for children with autism is consistency. And the 5th one is that visual structure involves visually based cues for reminders and instruction. However, there are several limitations of the TEACCH program. The existing research studies of the TEACCH program show that no harm is done, but struggle to isolate statistical correlations. That is, most studies have lacked control groups, failed to use double-blind methods, and suffered from small sample sizes. Teachers and parents support TEACCH because most children with autism experience progress, but it is difficult to pinpoint how the positive changes are directly correlated to the program. Most researchers feel that while more research is needed, TEACCH is a widely successful program that offers potential benefits. Individuals with ASD may also benefit from comparative interventions such as applied behavioral analysis. Next, I'm going to talk about how I went through and found my 2 articles. I started searching for the articles by beginning with the ARIA library link that Professor Matheny has provided for us. So I clicked on the link and then I typed in the search word TEACCH to the search bar, and several articles and studies appeared. I then looked for articles that were about early intervention and made sure that the population in the study was either toddlers or preschool age children, because right now we're in an early intervention class, and that's what I teach as well as preschoolers with special needs. I tried to make sure that there was a large enough sample size in each of the studies to make sure that the results were more reliable. And I also looked at the date that the studies were done to try to find the most current studies possible. The methodological strengths of Study 1. Data was collected monthly by videotaping parent-child teaching sessions in the home. These videotaped sessions for both the treatment and waitlist groups consisted of videotaping parents setting up a teaching area and conducting 5 minutes of direct teaching. During videotaping, the HTP and waitlisted parents were provided with a rug, a shelf, small table, small chair, large basket, and a home teaching kit. The home teaching kit was comprised of a 5 to 7 self-contained tasks designed to teach children with autism a variety of fine motor, cognitive play, problem solving, and communication skills. A research assistant directed the parent to complete a 5-minute work session using a standardized instruction. The research assistant then began videotaping, stepped away from the parent and child, and provided minimal interaction during the videotaping. The materials were moved after videotaping. Once initial baseline assessments were completed, families were randomly assigned to either the HTP or the WL condition. Those assigned to the HTP group began meeting with a clinician for 1.5 hours a week for 12 sessions. Each treatment session consisted of several 5 to 10-minute teaching times in which parents were trained to work with their child. These teaching times consisted of the clinicians teaching specific cognitive, fine motor, and language skills to the child while modeling appropriate prompting behavior to the parents and how to set up the teaching environment. As children began learning the activities, the clinicians systematically faded their prompts until the children were completing tasks independently. Parents were also provided with 30 minutes of education about autism and intervention strategies. At the end of each session, parents were assigned written homework and asked to apply new skills learned between treatment sessions. After the 8th treatment session, parents took an active role in the teaching time, with the clinician providing coaching and feedback on teaching procedures and on how they set up the teaching environment. A standardized treatment manual was used with each family. However, individualization was also built into the program. For example, the presentation, difficulty, and layout of tasks were based on assessment of the child's skills and learning style. After waitlist families were assessed on post-treatment measures, they had the opportunity to participate in the program. So a limitation of Study 1 that the article talked about was that due to the sample size and the short time frame, the results of repeated measures analysis of variance did not reach significance. The results of Study 1, first of all, showed regard to improvement in children's independent work skills. The structured teaching methodology focuses on teaching children to engage in positive work routines as independently as possible. These work routines consist of a behavior chain of taking, completing, and putting away activities in a left to right sequence. Once this behavior chain is learned, it can be generalized to a wide variety of activities and settings, which can facilitate broad learning and independence. Learning this behavior chain also avoids over-reliance on adult prompts for on-task behavior. Secondly, the results showed that parents could learn to use physical structure of the environment as an antecedent intervention. The structured teaching approach promotes using physical structure, including the use of furniture and boundaries and organization of materials, to provide visual cues that are thought to increase on-task behavior, reduce behavior challenges, and increase independence. Third, the results suggested that the treatment program increased effective prompting behavior in parents. Providing effective prompts is a pivotal skill needed for parents to ensure responding and learning from their children. Effective prompting also results in conservation of time and resources. Some of the strengths of Study 2. All of these children attended mainstream schools and were integrated in classes of 15 to 20 children. For each child, the therapist defined learning objectives in several areas in agreement with the child's teacher. The areas included language, emotional control, and self-help. The aim was to promote integration and socialization with the other children in the class. The therapist participated at daily classroom activities in order to suggest to teachers how to cope with behavioral problems related to autism and how to fill the data sharing sheet. The school program intervention was focused on teaching children the process of learning and applying skills, starting from their interests, strengths, and emerging skills, breaking down complex skills into smaller components that were easier to learn, adapting the classroom to the needs of the children by creating one workstation according to the concept of environmental adaptation, promoting integration between the autistic child and their classmates. In the home intervention program, a therapist worked with the child to demonstrate task and modeling teaching skills. Each parent was encouraged to spend an hour a day working with their child at home on homework. At the end of each session, the therapist gave the parents new homework and checked the data sharing sheet. The parents completed a one-page form that included information about things that happened at home. Thus, the therapist was informed about events they did not witness. And of course, there were limitations of study too. First, as the decision for the child's treatment referral was made by the parents, the children were not randomly assigned to the treatment and control groups. Second, the sample size was relatively small, which could limit the general ability of the findings. Third, the cognitive level was evaluated only at baseline to determine the child's current level of mental development to help create homogeneous groups. They did not attempt to directly compare this TEACCH homeschool-based personal program intervention with other treatment models. We believe the future research should compare different programs for treating autism in which variables such as child functioning level, number of hours of intervention, and parent and teacher involvement are controlled. The results of Study 2 showed changes across time in the main outcome indicators: severity of autism, language, and adaptive functioning, but no significant differences between the experimental and control group. Although the results on severity of autism showed no group changes, a significant difference was observed for ADOS classification. Between T0 and T3, the children in the EG showed improvement in all classifications. This means autism versus autism spectrum and autism spectrum versus non-spectrum. This could have been due to the secondary target of this low-intensity TEACCH therapy, which was to generalize structured teaching to parents, schools, and the community in natural settings to open the lines of communication among all who interact with the child. The parents involved in the experimental interventions benefited from decreased stress, which remained almost unchanged in the control group parents. Even if this decreased stress was only demonstrated for one subscale of the PSI, this finding may have been due to the parents' involvement in their child's treatment. I currently use the TEACCH program in my classroom, but after going through and doing this research, there's several new ideas and strategies that I realized I need to start implementing in my classroom. I'm going to begin working on creating an environment within my classroom that will help to promote independence for my students. One big thing that I learned from studying more about the TEACCH program is that I should create more individualized schedules for my students depending on their needs and skill levels. This can go from having a child have their whole day posted already, or maybe one child needs one activity at a time, or another child could need a travel schedule that goes with them throughout their day. I also know that I need to think more about my independent work system considerations. I need to look more at what certain students have already mastered and have them attempt those skills independently. Hopefully this will lead to them going from having a one-to-one structured work task to being able to complete these tasks independently. Next, you will have 2 videos that will show some examples of TEACCH.
We are all done. Now it's your turn, Danny. Now remember, when you're done with your work, you get to do something fun. Danny, you sit down. Okay. See, Danny, you're going to do the try and get. Do this one. Danny, look. Front. Look, Danny. Front. What's that say? Back. Danny, look. Inside. Okay, now, Danny, you take the paper and put it in here. It says finished.
Danny, sit down. You're doing good. No, not done. Put it in the finish box.
Starts.
Now put it in the finish.
Good job, you did it, Danny!
Gonna do some work.
Triangle, square, rectangle. Triangle, square, rectangle.
Danny, don't do that with your chair.
Be careful.
Be careful.
Triangle, square, rectangle, square. People. Six. Yeah, this is rectangle, triangle, square, rectangle. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Part 2 equals 7. Thank you. Thank you.
Did you do it?